Today we're going to be making the Darcy peplum. It's the short sleeve with a collar version. First, we're going to take our neckband on the back and we're going to sew to our back main, right sides together. You are going to have to stretch it just a little bit to make it fit, but that gives it that extra curved scoop look. Once I clip it, we're going to go ahead and sew along that edge right here. Okay, so now we're going to take that and we're going to bind it. So I like to fold my seam up and then fold down and fold down again. So I'm going to do that all the way across the back scoop, and then I'm going to bind it. You can top stitch or cover stitch. We're going to go right around that line. I'm going to cover stitch mine. Now we're going to lay our back bodice flat and then add our front bodice on top, right sides together. We're going to line up those shoulder seams and clip them. And once those are clipped, we're going to go ahead and sew against that raw edge. There and there, both sides. Perfect. Now we're going to put that to the side for now, and we're going to work on our collar pieces. So you've got 4 pieces, 2 mirrored sets. You want to lay them flat, right sides together, line them up, and then we're going to go ahead and pin them. You're going to do this for both, and then we're going to sew along that circled edge, or rounded edge rather. So I've got them both pinned, and now we're going to sew both of them. Now that they are sewn, we're going to flip them out right side, and we're going to lay them on our front bodice. So just make sure it's all nice and flat there. All right, now we're going to lay our collar pieces flat on our main front bodice, and then we're going to clip them. Definitely make sure that you're doing it evenly on the front so you don't have weird looking collars. I've been a victim of that before. Okay, so now that's clipped. We're going to take our neckband now. Make sure, I like to fold it in half so I can see exactly where the middle is. And you're going to go ahead and pin that middle to the middle of the front bodice. And I just add it to the pins I already have existing on that bodice. Okay, now we're going to sew along that edge. Personally, I like to sew the entire thing. It just helps me with binding. It looks more professional, but you can go ahead and do it however you see fit. But now that that is done, it's all sewn onto the bodice, we're going to go ahead and bind that long neckline. So go ahead and do the binding as you see fit. I like to take my seam, pull it up, and then I fold down on the neckband twice. And then I'll clip it all the way around. And I think because I sew along that entire neckband, it does make it easier because you're able to still go ahead and fold over your seam. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and finish this, and then we will sew the entire line. You can sew it by either, sorry, we're going to bind it actually. We're going to either do a top stitch or cover stitch. I'm going to just be consistent and cover stitch. Okay, now that that's done, looks great. We're going to work on our sleeves. So we're going to pull both of our sleeves. You should have two sets, or sorry, one set, but two pieces. And we're going to take our sleeve keyhole piece and we're going to lay it down right sides together of that middle. Go ahead and match it up. Very important. So I'm going to clip it, and then you're going to need to pull it just a little bit. So it's going to be a little snug getting it on each side. All right, so that one's pinned. Now let's go ahead and do our other sleeve. Same thing, you're going to take your second sleeve keyhole piece, and you're going to notice that there's writing on mine. Because this peplum has quite a few pieces, I tend to write on the back side what it is. So if anybody would find that helpful, it's kind of my little trick there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and sew along that line on both of our sleeves. So one is done. And I bet you can guess we're binding now. Now remember, when you're binding, you can do top stitch or cover stitch, total preference. So I'm going to go ahead and fold the second sleeve over too, so I can just bind both of them at the same time. All right, they're both clipped. Let's go ahead and bind that edge. Okay, now for our sleeves, we need to gather the top. But let's make sure our binding looks all good. It does, great. And I gather with my serger, but you guys can gather however you see fit the top piece. And now we'll do the second one. Okay, now that they're gathered, we're going to grab our bodice again, and we're going to attach the sleeves. So the gathered pieces, or the gathered side rather, is going to go on those outer edges of the bodice, and you're going to lay it flat down, right sides together, guys. And then we're going to go ahead and clip that. And now we're going to go ahead and sew along that line. Now that that sleeve is added, beautiful, we're going to go ahead and turn it around and do our other sleeve. Same thing, gathered side needs to go on that outer edge. Let's go ahead and sew it. Beautiful. Now that that is done, sorry, missed a spot. That happens. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and fold our bodice down. So we're going to do right sides together because we're going to go ahead and sew down our sleeve. And then all the way down the side bodice. And we're not sewing that flat edge by the keyhole on the arm. We're sewing underneath it. Right there. So I'm going to pin it and then sew it down. All right, turn it right sides out, make sure it's all good. And then now we're going to move on to our arm cuffs. So we're going to take our pieces, fold them right sides together, and then sew along that shorter edge. We're going to do this for both pieces. Okay, now it's time to attach it to our actual sleeve. So our armband, go ahead and turn it around, make sure it's all good. So we're going to take our piece and do it right sides together, but we're going to basically put it over our arm sleeve so that it's on the outside. And we're going to sew around that circle. Okay, now that one is done for now. We're going to move on to our second sleeve band. Go ahead and wrap it around. Again, right sides together, guys. And then sew, same thing, sew along that circle. All right, so now does anybody have any guesses on what's next? If you said binding, you are correct. So go ahead and bind around both of these sleeves, the bands. So we're going to fold up our seam, fold down on the band, and then fold down on the band one more time and clip around. This is just how I tend to bind. There's no wrong way necessarily. So we're going to go ahead and cover stitch that for both sides. All right, looks beautiful. So pretty. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to put that aside and work on our peplum skirt. So you've got two skirt pieces. Go ahead and lay them on top of each other, flat right sides together. And we're going to go ahead and pin along the shorter edge, just on one side for now. and we'll go ahead and sew along that line. Okay, so it looks good. Now we're going to take our peplum binding or our skirt binding and fold it right sides together. And we're going to go ahead and sew that shorter edge. There are 2 pieces of binding, so we just essentially attached it. Now we're going to attach it to the bottom of our skirt. Go ahead and pin her up. And then we're going to sew along that line. All right, now we're going to fold our skirt in half, right sides together. And we're going to pin the raw edge that's left. And then sew that line. Perfect. So now that we've got it right sides out, we are going to bind our skirt. Shocker. I love binding. I'm one of the weird ones. So I'm going to go ahead and pin along the whole bottom. And then we're going to cover stitch. All right, it's all nice and pretty. Now what we're going to do is actually gather our top of our skirt. So go ahead and gather however you see fit around that circle. And then once you're done, we're attaching the bodice now. Almost done. Go ahead and take your bodice right sides out, put it inside of your skirt. So when your skirt and your bodice are together, it's going to be right sides together. And then line up the side seams and go ahead and pin at the side seams first to make sure that you've got that line straight. And then we're going to go ahead and quarter it now. So we're going to pin the front and the back. And now we're going to sew along that line or circle. Perfect. And there is our Darcy peplum. Short sleeve version with the collar. I love vibrancy, and this is the perfect top. How cute is that? Thanks guys for sewing the Darcy peplum with me.